Welcome to the roller coaster ride of business with Hannah Edwards on Global Voice Radio. Hannah and her guests share the real deal, the ups and downs, the highs and lows of building a business. Here is your host, Hannah Edwards.
Hey guys, and thanks for joining me today. You're listening to the roller coaster ride of business. I'm Hannah Edwards, and today we're talking mindset for business with the lovely Kelly Garsia.
Hello everybody, thank you so much Hannah for having me here.
I'm very excited because I don't really know a lot about mindset and stuff like that anyway, other than mine's frazzled at the moment with everything that I'm doing. But obviously I've joined your group on Facebook, the Coaches Hangout. Although I'm not a business coach, I found it really useful for my businesses. And obviously we spoke a couple of weeks ago now, and I said to you about the fact that I started doing the journaling that you told me to do, and then I started gaining clients. And funnily enough, now I've stopped journaling because, to be honest with you, by the end of the night, I just want to hit the bed. The clients, I've still got them trickling in, but they're not coming in like they did when I was journaling.
Yeah.
So if you want to tell us a bit about what you do.
Well, I'm a mindset coach. And what I really do is I don't always say I'm a coach because I quite often say I'm a strategist. I've got a background in applied behavioural analysis and sociology. So that's where my love of mindset has come from. And I find it really interesting to watch people's behaviour patterns and people's belief patterns. And sometimes they're really positive, but then other times they're really negative. And it's just about putting in simple steps to change the way that those beliefs and behaviours are. Now, they're very simple steps, but the process to get them to the simple steps, that's the bit that is the bit that they need to walk. It's like walking over coal, really. It's something that you really don't want to do. But once you're there, the steps are very simple. I tend to work with people who are either starting up or who are needing to up level, so they're not being consistent with their income. And it's mainly coaches that I work with because for me, those were the people that resonated quite well with me. Those are the people that I felt I could help the most. And those were the people that I really could see where some things were holding them back. I watch society as a whole, and it's not just society, but it's like stuff that's been ingrained into us that we're supposed to live this sort of step-by-step life. You know, we're supposed to grow up, go to school, do well, go to college, do well, go to university, do well, get a good job, get married, have children, rinse and repeat the whole situation, and that's how it's supposed to go. And I think for our parents and our grandparents that seemed to work fine, but for everybody, for us now coming into, well, I mean, I'm 40, so probably more for the younger people, but that way of working isn't going so well because times have changed, you know, for the good or for the bad, times have changed. And if you have a process that used to work and you've changed the stuff around it, sort of the foundations around it, then you need to start changing the process at the same time. And that's what I try and explain to my clients. But we're also in a very exciting time as well, and we mustn't forget that. It's really exciting that we can connect with so many people online. You know, we can expand our knowledge really easily. It's not a case of going to the library anymore. We just have to type something into Google and we can usually find a blog or something about it. And you know, we can reach different clients and make different connections all over the world. I mean, I've just been reading about hashtags and stuff on Facebook at the moment, and hashtags have been amazing when you've gone into look at some of the hashtags that have created massive, powerful social change. I mean, if you look at the stuff that's going on in America now, there's so many hashtags bouncing about from one side to the other. They're all really, really powerful, and it just means that if you want to find something, you can find it really easily. We have to remember we're in this really exciting time, and I think that's why a lot of people, especially younger people, millennials mainly, are starting to realise that they don't need to have that traditional way of life anymore. They don't need to rely on somebody else telling them when they can take a holiday, or they don't need to be worried about getting sick pay from their boss, or whether they're going to miss out on the promotion or anything. They know that they can take all of that into their own hands and build their own businesses, and that's what I'm here to empower everybody to do.
It's exciting stuff because, I mean, like I said, I don't really know anything about when it comes to mindset for business. So being in the group, even though I'm not a coach, I'm learning a lot of stuff that I can apply to my businesses. And I feel like I'm in a completely different place now to when I was. I mean, my virtual assistant business, I've only been in business a year. We've relaunched the magazine this month. And you're saying about hashtags. I've managed to find some great content just for the magazine alone, just through the hashtags. And there are a lot with everything that's been happening in America. There are a lot of hashtags that are coming up. The Press for Progress one, and everything is just insane when you think about how mindset is changing. I mean, I never actually thought about how my mindset was when I was approaching my business, and I don't really know of anyone that did until when I joined your group, and then I suddenly started looking at how my other business friends are on their Facebook pages and their Instagram and stuff like that, and I was like, okay, maybe they are considering their mindset with it when it comes to business. So, I mean, when I think about it, it makes perfect sense.
Mindset is this thing that you need it in every single part of your life. Let's be honest, it's not just a business thing. If you want to have a good all-round life, if you want to protect your well-being and your mental health especially, you need to start thinking about your mindset. But it is something that a lot of people just don't think about, and especially if we're talking in regards to business, it's something that a lot of people put on the back burner. So they will seek out help in their content marketing, they will seek out help for website designing, they'll seek out help for social media strategies, but what they always avoid seeking out help for is the mindset issues. And I think it's one of two reasons. One of the reasons is that they just don't know about mindset. They're not sure about it. And the other reason is that they feel like it's not something that they need to pay money to find somebody to help them with. It's something that they can sort out themselves and do it for free. And you can, but you can do that with anything in business. You can do your social media strategies yourself. You don't need to pay for it. You can do your website yourself. You don't need to pay for it. If you've got the time, you can do all of that yourself. The difference for the people that come to me is that they want the results faster, and they know that their biggest issue is their mindset, because that's the thing that's stopping them from even getting to the point of putting the website out and getting to the point of putting out the content. It's the thing that's holding them back from doing a lot of different things which could really make their business forward faster.
I mean, I've found that I approach my businesses completely different, because I mean, like, I have a full-time job in care where just recently I've ended up taking an extra day on, so I'm now doing 50 odd hours a week, plus the work that I'm doing for my magazine, my virtual assistant, this show. Like, my weekends are now so jam-packed that the other day it just felt like I was so in my head trying to deal with everything. So I grabbed the journal that I had started journaling in a couple of weeks ago with you, stuck it all down, and then it's just like, well, actually, I can approach all this so much differently now.
Yeah, totally. Journaling is, I am a big journaling junkie. I love journaling. I journal about everything. And I think the biggest misconception with journaling is that people think it should be like a diary. And it really shouldn't. Journaling can be done in many, many different forms. So you can write it in, like, I love doing an emotional journal, which is where I discuss a problem on paper so that I can start reflecting on it and actually making my decision on whether it's actually as big a problem as I'm making it out to be. Because a lot of these limiting beliefs and stuff, they come from our childhood, when we thought about it in our child's head. But actually, when we look at it in an adult sense, it's like, well, actually, it's not that big a deal. It's not that scary, and maybe I can work through it. Or you can bullet point journal, which is great. You can brainstorm. I love brainstorm journaling. Just get everything on a piece of paper. It's the best way to clear space in your brain, because our brains are constantly working. I mean, they work all the time. They never get a break, even when we're asleep. And so we can't retain all that information in our head all of the time and pull it out whenever we need it. It slips away, it gets lost in the dark void of our head somewhere. Whereas when you're bulletproof journaling, it starts to draw it all back to the front, and so you get it all on a piece of paper. And once it's on that piece of paper, then it's going to stick in your head more, but it's also, at least you've got it out there. I mean, there's a reason why when we were at school, teachers used to tell us to write lines. When you put it on paper, you're going to remember it more. When you're doing something repetitive, you're going to remember it more. So you've got to remember the power of the pen, I suppose. It's a really good way to keep all that information and get it onto something. So yeah, there's many different ways to journal, but the thing with journaling, and it's been psychologically proven, and also there's been so many studies on it. It's so exciting. I think it was in the 1960s, and I can't remember the doctor off the top of my head, but he did all these studies and he found out that journaling could help with your mental well-being. It could help with your health, your physical health, because a lot of our physical ailments can start from our mind. Well, not that they're not there, but the stress from our minds and our limiting beliefs and stuff, it can represent as a physical illness. It can really boost your productivity. It can really knock down all those limiting beliefs so that you start to feel more stronger and more ready to face the world and stuff. So there's so many different benefits journaling can do, and all it takes is half an hour out of your day, which isn't that much really, to just put pen to paper and really try and get it all out there.
So a lot of people have turned around and said that journaling is actually the quickest form of self-care.
Yes, totally.
I've always, quite recently, just been on the go. So I never really even thought, well, I'll just spend half an hour sitting down and journaling as self-care. Like, I used to just think of it as another chore at first.
Yeah. I totally get what you mean, because to be honest with you, I haven't always been a big lover of journaling. It's something that I forced myself to do for a while. But I turned it around because I had to start really sort of getting into it, rather than just doing it because I had to do it because I wanted to do it. So I had to change that bit of my mindset, and as a mindset coach, it was easier for me to do. But yeah, you do need to switch it from being a chore. So self-care is another mindset problem that so many people don't pay attention to. They don't take time to practice any self-care. A lot of people say one of the ways that you can do self-care is to chill out on the sofa and watch Netflix, and I kind of agree with that to a certain extent, but you mustn't just. The difference is that we spend a lot of time watching mindless TV programs, and it's that we're just flicking until we find something that we think, okay, well, this is kind of okay to watch, and we watch it, and then we consider that hour of watching something that we're not particularly interested in as self-care. You'd be much more productive if you turn that TV off, went for a walk for 15 minutes and wrote for half an hour, and then that's 45 minutes of self-care, which has been much more productive than just flicking through the TV. If it's something that you're really interested in, then yeah, that's definitely self-care. If there's a great documentary on, or if there's a really good movie that you want to watch, yeah, you can class that as self-care. But I am starting to spread the word now that this mindless flicking on TV, and I do it. I'm a nightmare doing it. I love to have the TV on in the background when I'm working as well. But this mindless flicking of TV is not really self-care, and we do have to start learning to take care of ourselves to really make sure that we're more productive and more and our mindset's more strong, because if we're not looking after ourselves, we're telling ourselves we're not important.
See, I find that I always have to be doing something when I'm watching TV. I can't just sit there and watch. So I'm either playing on my phone or I'm working on the blanket that I'm crocheting. Yeah, I found when I journal, because I'm fully focused on that, everything else around me disappears.
Yes, it's a lovely feeling to have, really relaxing and calming, to sort of get into that zone of writing. And I don't know if you found this, Hannah, but I always find when I finish journaling, I feel like I could go on writing about something else. Like I'm not. I don't feel like I've got any blocks anymore. So That's when I find it best to then go and sit at my computer and see if I can come up, even with just a little bit of work, maybe a content piece, maybe some Twitter sentences, stuff like that, because I just feel like there's something that can still keep going and keep going. It's like the momentum's been built by that point. So yeah, So I always say journaling in your business is really important. Even just the brainstorming one, just getting all the ideas out. I created a whole program just by sitting there thinking I'm going to brainstorm one day. I just wrote, I think it was fear at the top, and I just wrote everything I knew about fear in like this crazy writing all over the piece of paper. It was in no order at all, and I built this whole program around just brainstorming that day. And it wasn't meant to be a program. I was just brainstorming what I knew about fear, but it actually turned into a program. So
even better. What is it that made you want to actually be a mindset coach? How do you even get into something like that one?
Well, it started years ago. No, I've always been the type of person that I always look on the positive side. My friends say I'm the most positive person that they know. I've always had this happy outlook on life, and I've always known that there's that you're in control of the way you feel. But when years ago I joined a multi-level marketing business because I was working in education at the time, and there wasn't enough money to go around. We were pretty much broke. We still had student loans to pay off and stuff, and then the car broke. Things just happen, and I just thought, okay, I'm going to try multi-level marketing and just see, because I haven't got any more time. I was also working weekends doing respite, so I had no more spare time. So I went off and joined this multi-level marketing company, and I worked it in, and I built it up, and I built it up, and I built it up. But I always felt like I wasn't really good enough to do it, and there was it's a girls' environment, so you can imagine it was quite tough at times, and you would always feel like you were walking on a cloud one second, and then you'd been knocked on your ass the next, basically. And so my mindset took a real battering around that time, and so whatever small bit of positive mindset I clung on to go and decide to take this leap and go into business had kind of almost disappeared. So I had to do a lot of self-help because I couldn't afford to go out and pay for anybody. I couldn't afford to do anything else. So I went and did a load of self-help. Luckily, my mom's a big self-help person, so I had loads of books from her, downloaded stuff from the internet, read everything, and then started just talking to people about it. So I was talking to my team about it. I was talking to my friends about it. And a few of them started putting stuff into place, and they were like, "Oh my God, that was really good. Thank you. I followed your advice, and this is happening, this is happening." And I was like, "Oh, wow, okay." So I continued to learn about it a little bit more, and the more I learned about it, the higher up I went in my business, and my business started to flourish, which was amazing. And then my partner, unfortunately, suffered a sort of kind of breakdown with his mental health. He worked in education too, and so he had to get signed off work, and he couldn't go back to work, and it was quite a hard time. So I was running my job, I was working two businesses, I was running my business, working two jobs, and he wanted to come off his meds. He didn't want to be on his meds, they were making him sleep all the time. So we were talking about it, and I said, well, don't come off them yet, we'll work on your mindset, I'll tell you everything that I know, I'll go and learn more, and then once you're feeling better, you can come off your meds. Well, without me knowing, he came off his meds, but we'd already put these mindset practices in place, and so he was fine, and he didn't have a relapse or anything, and he's doing well now. He's back to work, he's absolutely fine.
Awesome.
But after that, I was thinking, well, okay, so I've helped X, Y, and Z people in my team, X, Y, and Z people that are my friends, and now I've also helped my partner. Maybe this is something that I really need to look into, and I hired myself a mindset coach because I felt like I really needed to talk to somebody that was already in the industry that could maybe help me and help me get over my fears. And we chatted about it, and she explained how how it would go, and I learned some other bits of mindset from her and everything, and and then I decided to do it, so then I did it. Simple as that.
It's one of those stories that you listen to it and you're just like, it can't be true kind of thing, like how you've, with all of that you had going on, how you even managed to fit in the time to learn about mindset.
Yeah, I know.
But I mean, like I said, I've started changing mine, and a couple of my friends that I've spoken to, I think they've always been in that way that they've thought about things like you do there, like the positive ones.
Yeah.
But I've noticed in my town and in the people that I talk to, it's more women that tend towards like thinking about mindset and stuff like that. I don't really know of a lot of men that think about it. Do you reckon it's a female-dominated industry?
Yeah, I think there's definitely more females than there are males, but I do think that can find some male mindset coaches out there. And I think the reason it's probably more women, in my opinion, is because of the female energy. You know, we want to look after people, we want to care for people, we want to try and make people feel better. Men are a little bit more logical, so it's this or this. So I think for women, the mindset stuff, you know, they're trying to do it in their everyday lives anyway. They're trying to do it with their children, they try and do it with their partners, they try and do it with their friends and family. So it comes quite naturally to continue to move down that area. So yeah, so I think although there are men, and they're, you know, I'm sure more and more men will come on board once they realise how fantastic it is. But yeah, at the moment I think it's more female dominated.
So do you reckon mindset works for everything? Are there limitations to it?
No, there's no limitations to mindset. Mindset can help in every area of your life. Mindset, I think I'm a true believer that mindset should start from school, and I really would love to get involved in any programs. I'm constantly seeking them out for ones that are done inside schools where they're teaching the children at a very young age to learn mindset practice and take some time to meditate as well and things like that. I think mindset can help you with your, well, I guess in your studies and stuff like that. Mindset can help you with schoolwork. So when you're doing your GCSEs, so for teenagers, it's really good. Mindset can help in your personal life, so relationships. It can help with your business. It can help with your job. It can help with promotions. It can help at every single stage. It can even help with grief. Because what mindset is a foundation for you to be able to move forward with things. It's a different belief system. And it really does sort of, one of its biggest foundation bits is your self-esteem. And if you can manage to get your self-esteem in a really good place, when you're tackling anything that's a little bit hard or a little bit more tricky or might pose a challenge to you, it's always, you're always able to move forward easier if your self-esteem is in a good way.
See, now I need to start applying that to other areas as well.
Yeah, it's I did a course called Master Yourself, and it's all about all the different selves. So your self-esteem, your self-responsibility, your self-talk, your self-care, and your self-sabotage. We covered all those different areas because all those areas are all part of mindset. The one thing that popped up whenever I was talking about all those different areas, if you're not looking after them, your relationships can get damaged. And with human beings, we like relationships, we like to make connections with people. It's just something that we do. Some people like a lot of connections, some people like a few, but we all like a connection with somebody. There are some people out there that don't, but they're very, very rare. And so the one thing that we want to make sure is that those relationships are strong, and never a one-way thing. So if you've managed to master all yourselves, you're able to create those relationships. And relationships aren't just a boyfriend; they're also, you know, friends, family, workmates, clients, all of those different relationships. You need to make sure that you're able to create them in a positive manner so that you can get repeat customers, or you can hold on to your boyfriend, or you can keep your friends, that sort of thing.
So with, obviously I mentioned earlier, the coaches hangout, it's not just you that runs it. How did you and Lacey get in touch?
Oh gosh, it was like a partnership made in heaven. I saw Lacey in a Facebook group, and I think she was doing like a challenge or something. And she's a social media marketer. So I do mindset, and I know all about mindset, but like I said, never actually gone into the online world. I'm totally tech challenged, and I didn't really know what I was supposed to be doing. So I saw this challenge, and I thought, oh, okay, well, I might have a go at that and see how that goes. So I started the challenge, and immediately we got talking. She said she's quite a fast worker, Lacey is, and I'm sure you already know that. So yeah. Quite quickly she was like, oh, we should do a call. And I was like, okay, we should be free now. And I was like, oh god, yeah, I am. Okay, yeah. I'm much more slow paced. I'd have probably arranged it for the next day, but she was like bam, bam, bam. So I was like, yeah, okay. So we got on the phone, and we talked for way longer than we should have. And then when we finally got off the phone, it was just an instant connection. We just knew it was an instant connection. We bonded so quickly, and it was lovely. So we kept talking constantly. And then I became one of her clients because we had this great relationship, and bouncing clients from each other. So I'd have someone who'd jump on a discovery call, for instance, which is a call that you feel free to see if you were any good for a client, or if they're any good for you, if they're a good fit. So if I had a discovery call and I could talk to someone, I'd be thinking, hey, you don't really have that many mindset issues with social media. I'd be like, I've got a great social media marketer. So we do a lot of referrals, they should do the same with me. And we've been doing that for a while, and then one day Lacey was like, well, we should really do a program together. So we started off one program together with me being her client, so I could see how it all runs. So I've done one-to-one, I've done some DIY courses, but I've never done a group program. That went really well, so we're like, okay, so this works really well. So then we just decided to just join forces, because two coaches are better than one. You get mindset, you get social media marketing, and we're very different people as well, so you get very different opinions. I don't know how we agree on everything, because you would think that we wouldn't, but we do tend to agree on everything, and it just works. We finish each other's sentences. We talk every single day. There's always something going on. She's like the speed train, and I'm the one that's just going, okay, we just need to slow it down a little bit. Slow it down. She's very straight talking, and I'm very straight talking, but in a very positive way. And so, but we work so well, and we've had some great responses from our clients with the partnership, because it's just a really good partnership.
You can tell that it works really well when you're in the group, and when all the courses come up and all these people are like, oh my god, I've just jumped on this call with Kelly, and like now it's just everything's so much clearer because I've gone through that whole mindset bit, and now I'm waiting for my call with Lacey to like take it to the next level kind of thing. It's definitely one of my favourite groups to be in. I've gone through so many groups, and like, I mean, you spoke on a call before, and I told you about all the millions of coaches that I'd been through. Not that luckily I hadn't paid for any of them, but I'd been in their groups and I'd been on their mailing lists. And it was just at the point where I was sat there and I was like, if I don't find someone that when I've got the money, I could think about taking it to the next level with them being my coach. But if I can't find a group that I can see whether I like them or not, I'm not quite sure where I'm going to be going with my businesses. And then I've joined your group. I've gone through bits. I relaunched my magazine in January, and the response from that has been so much better than when we previously launched it. And I think that it's literally to do with the fact that I've been in a completely different mindset than I was back then.
Totally, and I'm so proud of you. You've done so well. And that's why we built the Coaches Hangout. That's what we wanted. We wanted it to be a place where people could come and learn. They could talk about their struggles. They could talk about their wins. And it was really, that's why we called it the Coaches Hangout. It was just somewhere to hang out, pop in, go and see how everybody's doing, create these relationships, build these friendships, rather than just be somewhere where, people just feel like they're either being sold to all the time or ignored all the time or not getting any value. Lacey is an overgiver, so she tells you exactly what to do step by step for free, and then there's me going, okay, well, we're not going to really have much of a business doing that. But okay, because they probably needed it anyway. So we love to give to our community. We love to share the stuff that we've got with them because we're so passionate about these two different areas. And we both know how important social media marketing is to businesses online, and how important mindset is to businesses, online and offline. And so, when we joined forces, we knew those two areas because we cover mindset, messaging, and marketing. Those are the three areas. We cover all sorts of areas, but those are our three main core areas that we cover, which are the three big ones for businesses out there. If you can get those right, you're going to be able to move forward more smoothly, and then you can start looking at your website, and then you can start looking at all your Facebook ads and all the rest of it. Once you've got those three straight, you're going to struggle. So yeah, so that's why we wanted to create the Coaches Hangout, for people to come and learn all about those things. That's why we do our Facebook Lives every Friday for everybody, so they can hop on. I mean, yeah, it usually turns into just like a big huge chat, but you know, that's what we like. It's a hangout. It's somewhere to come and spend a bit of time.
It's definitely a great fun to be. So I'm going to say thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
So guys, you can find me on Facebook at Empowered VA or Empowered Magazine, and you can find Kelly at the Coaches Hangout on Facebook. And Kelly, if you just want to give everyone your website address.
Yes, our website is kellyandlacy.com. That's KELLYANDLACY.com.
Awesome, thank you very much. And guys, I'm back next week. Thank you.
Thank you, thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. Join Hannah Edwards and the roller coaster ride of business every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern on Global Voice Radio, where your voice is heard.